Early contests build momentum for 2024 contenders seeking the White House. C-SPAN offers unfiltered coverage of events leading into early primaries and caucuses. Get access to speeches and results with the free app, C-SPAN Now, or watch live on the C-SPAN networks.
Hey everybody, I'm Rob Benedict.
I'm Richard Spade Jr.
And we're talking about Season 3, Episode 7, Fresh Blood.
Fresh Blood.
Hey, before we get into it, make sure you're following the podcast on social media at SPN Then and Now on Twitter and Instagram. There's a lot of fun fan conversation about the podcast episodes after they come out, so check it out.
Yeah, you know, a fan even made our beard rating chart and shared it. They made art of our beard rating chart.
I saw that. That was good stuff.
And it's awesome. It's really
Love it.
Great. So check out stuff like that. You'll have then you can follow along with your beard rating chart next time we rate your favorite and or least favorite episodes.
That's right. Okay, here we go. Episode 7, Fresh Blood. Gordon has escaped from prison.
Ah!
Yeah, he tracks down Bela and bribes her to tell him where the brothers are. They are in Albany, New York, investigating vampires.
Here's a quick trivia question for you.
Yeah.
What is the capital of New York State?
Albany.
Damn, you're good.
Yeah, that was good. Interesting. Timely. I thought it was going to be something about vampires, but no. They capture a female vampire who says she doesn't know what's going on or how she became a vampire.
Which actually, that makes her a vampirette.
Ah, didn't know that.
Female vampires, that's what they're called.
The last thing she remembers is taking what she thought was a new recreational drug.
A small vampire is called a vampirini.
Oh, okay. And Dean has no choice but to kill her.
He does not like recreational drugs.
Oh, yeah. It's a say no to drugs campaign.
I mean, dude, that means Dean, who's a mythical character, would shoot real Rob Benedict in the face.
Yeah, no,
by
I'd be
meeting
dead.
him.
I'd definitely be dead already.
Because Rob loves recreational drugs.
Hey, who doesn't?
Me.
The brothers find out there is a vampire named Dixon who is slipping his blood to young women as a trendy new drug at the nightclubs.
I wonder if there's also a dick named Vampirin. You gotta wonder.
Yeah.
I mean, dick, by dick, I mean detective.
No, you gotta wonder. You definitely have to wonder. The brothers are able to stop Dixon from dosing his next victim, but the vampire runs away. Gordon and Kubrick show up and start shooting. Dean tries to draw their fire and is pursued by Kubrick. Suddenly, Dixon reappears, knocks Gordon out, and takes him hostage. Gordon comes to, and he's in Dixon's lair. Gordon berates him, but Dixon tries to explain his point of view. Dixon gets frustrated with Gordon, and rather than feed him to the two newly chained-up female vampires, he decides to expose Gordon to vampire blood, turning Gordon into what he hates second most, because he hates Sam Winchester the most.
You know, I'll tell you something. If you're being held captive by a vampire, berating him seems like the wrong approach.
Yeah, no.
You know? I don't think I did Gordon any favors, the berating, you know?
Yeah, especially when you're all chained up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man, if you're running free, berate yourself silly. But if you're chained up and you're still a prisoner, I think taking a softer appraach might have been more effective. But, you know.
You got to think Gordon, looking back at it all from heaven or hell, wherever he is.
Right.
You got to regret that.
The berating, especially.
Yeah. Dean figures out it was Bela who sold them to Gordon. He calls her and threatens to kill her. Bela, feeling a little guilty, uses her talking board to contact a spirit who tells her where Gordon is. She gives the info to Dean, but Gordon is already gone. Gordon shows up at Kubrick's RV. He tells Kubrick that he's going to kill himself after he kills Sam Winchester. Kubrick feels he has to kill Gordon now. After all, he's a vampire. However, Vampire Gordon is resolute to kill Sam, so he shoves his hand into Kubrick's guts, killing him first. Dean wants to pursue Gordon on his own. However, Sam convinces him that they must stick together. Gordon lures the boys out with a captive girl he's turned into a vampire. They can't resist a captive girl.
No, they're kind of the old school heroes in that regard. Damsel in distress and all that.
Yeah, the brothers get separated. Dean must use the Colt to kill the vampire girl, while Sam and Gordon are in a game of cat and mouse against each other in the darkness. Gordon has the advantage with his vampire vision. Dean is able to distract Gordon, and Sam gets a loop of razor wire around Gordon's neck and pulls, and it decapitates his head right off.
Well, of course, decapitation is losing your head. So he cuts his head off.
Wait,
decapitation means to cut your head off.
Okay, so you can't say decapitates his head right off?
I mean, it seems like a hat on a decapitated hat. Yeah.
Okay. Well, fair enough. I don't take it back, though. I like the way it sounds. Later, it's day, and the boys work on the Impala together in a brotherly moment.
Ah.
Yeah.
Now it's time for RRR. That's Rob and Rich review.
Well, I loved this episode.
Dude.
I really it's so good. It's back to what I love.
I got 3 words for you.
Yeah.
Sterling K. Brown.
Brown. Yeah.
Dude.
One of those is his initial, but yeah, it's he's great.
He's so good.
Yeah,
he's
really
such a good nemesis because it's not cut and dry. I mean, he's not necessarily a bad guy. Like, he has his reasons. He's not wrong. Sam's got a lot going on internally that are, make him not a normal guy. And so he knows that Sam could go pear-shaped. He's trying to get out in front of it. I know that, like, overall people go, oh, he's a bad guy. He's trying to kill Sam Winchester. But it's, again, I think it's very well written and well crafted. His storyline and his character, because it isn't that cut and dry. It's just not that clear. What he is doing actually might save lives, and for Sam to take a turn. Gordon thinks he's doing the right thing, the moral thing, and that gives him, yes, a sort of a dark quest, but a genuine reason to pursue his quest, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'll go on to say that not just Sterling K. Brown, but all the guest actors in this episode are great, doing top-notch work.
The young lady who's doesn't know she's been drugged and turned into a vampire at the beginning is unbelievable. That scene is so good. The actor, we're going to interview him, the guy who plays Dixon, so good.
Yeah, the guy who plays Kubrick, who we recognize from a lot of different things, he's great.
And he's been in the show before. He was in an episode earlier.
Yeah.
Sterling K.
We
Brown.
mentioned him before, but he's still good. And even the girl at the end who gets turned into a vampire, that's the damsel in distress that they go to rescue at the end.
Yeah,
she's great. And it's what I love. What I'm really loving about the show, it's really the what I keep referring to as like the meat of what's going on, the conflict between the brothers, and Sam is finally able to say to Dean, "Hey, I want my brother back." You know what I mean? Stop writing this off like you're going to die, because we got 12 more seasons to go.
Yeah, we got a trailer with your name on it in the parking lot, brother.
Yeah, I mean, I love that scene between them, and of course, the end where they're working on the car. I mean, it's classic Supernatural Winchester Bros.
And in terms of fight, right up there with one of the coolest fights ever. Like using the night vision on Sam, Sterling K. Brown's vampire vision. The way they shot that perspective was so well done. It was so well executed. With their bigger budget, this whole episode could be built up to be a feature-length film. This whole conflict between Sterling and Sam and the relationship of the brothers and how it all plays out with the vampire hunt. It really is a movie. The plot is complex and interesting. Yeah. Driven right out of the gate. You're like, right out of the gate, you're going full tilt. It's just a well-done episode of TV, an extremely well-done episode of TV, and a really high watermark in season 3 for me, Supernatural.
100%.
It's just great.
Yeah, and it weaves together a monster of the week with the through line of the season in such a great way that you don't even realize you're looking at a monster of the week. Because
I think also, just to really hammer home that opening scene with that actress when they capture the vampire, the way she talks about it, the way the writer wrote it, and the way she talks about it and performs it, it humanizes the vampires in such a cool way. Where she doesn't realize she's a vampire, she's just got this hunger and she feels lost, and you suddenly have empathy for vampires. It's so well done.
She feels like she's on a bad trip and she wants to come down. She keeps saying, like, I just want to not feel high anymore. I want to feel sober, basically. So, and the whole bit when Sterling K. Brown first gets turned into a vampire and the light is really harsh on his eyes, And
then he hears the heartbeat and he's tripping himself. Here's one thing that I thought was interesting. Supernatural has always created their own lore. They don't necessarily follow, quote unquote, classical or classic monster lore or angel lore or anything biblical. I thought it was interesting that he could see his reflection, only because the old adage is vampires can't see their reflection.
Oh yeah.
But then he sits there looking at his own reflection in that vending machine. And which was super cool, and also a super cool way to show his teeth growing. In the reflection.
Yeah. I didn't even put that together. Yeah. I thought you were going to say that vampires have night vision, because I don't think I was aware that they can see, like,
I can't remember if I thought that was a thing or not. I remember watching the episode and going, oh, of course he can see at night. He's a vampire because they're nocturnal. Right. And I think my thought was
like a
bat. Like
a bat. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think it's clear that we're going for 2 full beards here.
2 big full beards. And by the way, what a welcome full beard. Last week's was not a full beard.
Right.
Almost completely void of beard. Today, I'm giving it Stapleton during lockdown on vacation in the islands. Like he's taken his Stapleton beard and let it grow even more Stapleton-y. So it's a super Stapleton.
I'm going, 70s Loggins during Loggins and Messina era, where it just was just a beard that didn't give a damn.
No, didn't care. That beard didn't take no guff from nobody.
And hair and a flowing hair to go with it.
Man, and pubes poking out the top of his jeans.
Well, you said that, but
we didn't. Okay.
And a fan blowing on him to make the hair go. Whoo.
A fan named Rob.
All right, well, we have a real treat. We're going to talk to the actor who played the vampire Dixon, who did an amazing job. Again, amidst all these other things going on and great actors going on, this guy really stood out as well. Great character in the episode, and his name is Matthew Humphreys. He's appeared as a guest star in a number of TV series, including Billions, NCIS New Orleans, Chicago Med, Blue Bloods, Elementary, and Burn Notice. Please welcome Matthew Humphreys. Matthew, how are you, buddy?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. So we're talking to you. You're in England, correct?
I am. I'm in Bristol.
And what are you doing
in Bristol?
Yeah.
What am I doing in Bristol? Bristol, I was brought over here about 18 months ago, and I am starting up a new drama school. So we are 18 months in, and the course that I lead is a focus that I was doing in New York City at Pace University. And it's essentially actor training for the camera. So it's kind of
amazing
reinvestigating how actor training is done. Yeah.
Wow. Fantastic.
That's amazing. So you were a professor of acting previous to this, obviously. How did you get involved in that?
I started having children.
Yes.
I know the drill, sir.
Yeah. So I started having kids, and I didn't have kids, but my wife and I started having kids. She did the hard work, and I was just a working actor in New York City, where I had relocated to from Los Angeles, and was doing the sort of taking my toddler to random auditions and having some casting assistant watch my child while I went and poured my heart out in an audition room. And that was quite the life. And then someone said, hey, I remember back at Yale, you used to teach during the summer, and I'm, interested in starting this new program. And what do you think? And so I said, yeah, sure. I'd love to, get involved. And then one thing led to another, and I fell in love with diving into this thing called acting in a different way and kind of inspiring young people to maybe learn from my mistakes and hopefully have a better chance than my training gave me. So
that's first of all, fantastic. Teaching is an honored profession, and great acting teachers, man. We all remember the ones that mattered to us. You know what
absolutely.
I mean? We all have that professor, that teacher that said something, that did something, that showed us something that resonated. So yeah, that's awesome. And Yale, I heard the Yale bomb drop in the middle of that. So that's awesome. So you're a Yale drama school grad?
I am. Hell Yale.
Hell Yale. That's awesome. And so that means, so earlier, right before we started the interview, for a brief second, you said you knew some of our fellow Supernatural alums, Emily Swallow and Sebastian Roche.
Emily Swallow, Sebastian Roche. Emily and I graduated. Emily went to NYU, and she and I were in the same graduating class. And back then, that was these two quote-unquote powerhouse graduate acting programs would showcase their actors at the same time. And so we met through mutual friends and through showcasing together. And then we shared an agent for a long time. And so she is a friend. I haven't, we're now sort of the social media friends. But she is definitely a friend, a wonderful person, and great actress, obviously. And Sebastian and I met doing a short film where he played George Washington and I played James Madison, and it was for the George Washington's home in wherever that is in Virginia, Mount Vernon.
Yes.
Thank you.
And so they had, this was quite some time ago. They had like $6 million to make a 20-minute short.
What?
And so it was like really high production value. And so we made this little, if you go there to Mount Vernon and see this, I think some of it's 3D. You see this intro video about George Washington, and there we are. So he and I hit it off, and then he moved out to Los Angeles from upstate New York, and we lived right down the street from each other in Venice. And I just love the guy.
Yeah. Yeah,
he's a great guy. Hard not to like either one of those people, Emily Swallow or Sebastian Roche. They're both great folks.
And so what was your process taking you back almost 12, 13 years? What was the process of getting involved in Supernatural? Did you audition?
I did.
Did you know about the show at the time?
So I had heard about it, but it was still relatively off my sort of fan radar at the time. And, the funny thing is a week and a half before I auditioned, I went in for a vampire-based show that will not be named. And the feedback from the casting office was, he's really great, but he's not really a vampire. So when I went in and I met Robert Ulrich, who's, fabulous casting director there in LA, and then went in to meet the people over. I don't know if I met Eric in the producer session, but I met someone on that producing side, and it was just, they were such good people and really really solid, and so it was a fun sort of story to keep. That 10 days before I was not vampire material, but it only took 10 days to.
Yeah, you really honed your chops.
You found it.
That narrow window.
I think I speak for Rich too when we say we loved your performance in this. It's a great episode.
It's great, and we're not just jerking your chain, man. Like we go through. Rob and I've been involved in the show either directly or tangentially for its entire run, and we've started this rewatch podcast. But Rob and I really haven't watched the show, so we've seen what our work and maybe a few other things, but we haven't. 330 episodes. We haven't seen 330 episodes of anything. So we started at the beginning, and so now here we are in season 3. And this episode comes along. This is a feature film. It's such a good episode of TV. I don't know if you revisited it but to pregame for this interview or if you just recall it. But, dude, you're great.
You're great.
Sterling K. Brown is great. Obviously Jared and Jensen bring their A game as always. But the thing that I loved about this, and this is why that other dumb vampire show can suck it, no pun intended, is that you brought a humanity. And Sterling did the same thing when he becomes a vampire. And so did the young lady that you drug. You bring this humanity to the vampire. So that I left this for 2.5 seasons of TV. I've thought of vampires as monsters. After this episode of TV, I'm like, oh, they're complex beings. With needs and desires and family, your whole nest got killed. You've lived for generations. When you show that photo of your daughter, you're like, oh my God, well that was 200 years ago. You know what I mean? It's just a fascinating examination. It's just smart television. It's just well done. It's well written. It's well, you had Kim Manners, who's maybe one of the best TV directors to ever grace the industry.
I was going to say.
It's so great. It's so well done.
What was your memory of working with Kim?
Oh man, admittedly, we're all older now, so it's a fabled memory at this point. But I'll never forget that experience. It was, first of all, I had never done a gig where you show up in Vancouver, as you guys know, and they're like, we're all on night shoots, so take a day to acclimate. And you show up and it's just a different feel. I don't know. There was something so electric and sort of for someone just coming in as a guest star, it was very sort of unnatural in a way. And you just tried to ride that wave. But the production, the set, from the Teamsters to the PAs to the production heads, everyone was so incredibly welcoming and what a well-oiled machine that was to pull off what they pulled off. And Kim at the head of it was just you just kind of had, or I just had that feeling I was in good hands. It didn't matter. And he was so much fun. He really did care, but he also was there to kind of be we can have fun. We're dealing in the world of vampires here. There is no big choice. You can't be too big. Just go for it. That's incredible permission to be given on a TV set.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And I think whether this is your interpretation of the character based on the script, based on your experience as an actor, or based on direction from Kim, there was just a groundedness to everything. At no point, even if the choices were big, meaning like the world is strange, the world is unique, but it all felt true to itself. It all felt honest to itself. And that's what I think makes it, I say it on this podcast all the time, but every other show on TV at that point and 10 years after on that network was boring, sexy people standing around. And Supernatural was busy telling real stories. And it told a real story here and a specific story. That's what I think was interesting. And it wasn't a vampire story. It was Dixon's story. You know what I mean? So it was so specific to that point that like when you brought emotion to it and your family had been killed, it's a gorgeous scene. Like I empathize with Dixon so much in that moment. It was just so well done. When you're sitting there looking at the ripped off heads of your children, so to speak, and a bit Manson-y, but whatever. I mean, like, you believed it. Dixon would believed it. He was trying to carve out something for himself. As bizarre as it was, your intent was pure. Your methods were weird. But it just was such a good... And so how much of that... So that's a long pat on the back, but how much of that is Matthew, and how much of that is Kim Manners, and how much of that is Sarah Gamble, the script?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, they wrote the complexity in there, and then I think I have been known to find contradiction within characters, and any great character, you need to find the opposite of what the script is telling you to go,
right, both
emotionally and intentionally. So, if you can find that duality, then you really bring, I think you don't even have to think about bringing humanity to it. It's just that's what brings humanity to it, because we're all, as people, we're walking contradictions. We're good people capable of doing bad things. We're bad people capable of like doing amazing things. And so as soon as you start adding those options to a character, it makes it hard for an audience to know, am I supposed to like this person? Am I supposed to hate this person? And right. I put a lot of thought into it. And then I think also I'm just somebody that I lead my life with my heart. So that has gotten me in a lot of trouble, but it also, I think from an acting perspective, it helps out a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey there, this is Richard Speight. Hey, this is Richard Speight. You know what? It's 2024. It's a brand new year, and I bet you made some New Year's resolutions, and I bet one of them was to eat healthier. Well, you can get cranking on that resolution right now, my friend, with Factor. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, the prep work, the cooking fatigue. I'm getting tired just talking about it. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including options like keto, calorie smart, vegan, and veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you will have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart this resolution off right. Forget frantic lunch prep and rush dinner making. That stinks. Factor's 2-minute meals, yes, I said 2 minutes, are your secret weapon in the new year. You get to fuel up fast with restaurant-quality meals all delivered right to your door. It doesn't get any easier than that. And Factor now offers loads of snack options like breakfast, smoothies, juices, snacks, and more to keep you going no matter what's on the schedule. So I know what you're asking, Rich, how do I tap into this Factor magic? You head to factormeals.com/SPNTAN50 and use code SPNTAN50 to get 50% off. That's a lot off. That's code SPNTAN50 at factormeals.com/SPNTAN50 for 50% off. Make that resolution happen now and make it happen at a discount. Fantastic food that's healthy and delicious and delivered right to my door. Now that is how you start the new year off right.
Early contests build momentum for 2024 contenders seeking the White House. C-SPAN offers unfiltered coverage of events leading into early primaries and caucuses. Get access to speeches and results with the free app, C-SPAN Now, or watch live on the C-SPAN networks.
And I hope you're enjoying this episode, but we need to pull over for a second for some messages. Thanks for listening. Now back to the episode. Do you think, Rob, do you think it's interesting story-wise that Dixon, and this is expressed in the story, both on the page and the performance, is his own executioner? You know, because he could have done something different with Gordon. Could have had Gordon mauled by his family and be a meal and all that. But he gets out over his skis and gets all cocky. He's like, no, I'm going to show you what it's like to be.
And then he says, I made a mistake.
I know
I shouldn't have done that.
The thing is like, that's the thing we feel bad for you for.
Yeah.
Like Gordon, Gordon is such a complex character. We've talked about Gordon on this show multiple times because Gordon's not a clear-cut bad or good guy either. Like his intent to his sister had been a vampire. He felt like he had to kill his sister before she went rogue. And now he feels like he's got to do the same with Sam Winchester. And he blames vampires for his sister's death, blah, blah, blah. Deep history, right? A lot of moving parts. And so he's complex in his own bio, and then here you go, taking the thing he hates the most and making him one of those things.
Yeah.
And he becomes the worst version of it. It's so fascinating. And then you have to live with that idea that you did the thing that wreaked havoc in your own existence. I mean, it's just so... It's so better
but
than it deserves
great,
to be.
Great, Matthew, because you get the reason why he did it. It's almost the worst thing that Gordon could imagine as being the thing that he hates. So that's kind of what motivates your character, Matthew, to do that. And then, you have the regret. I mean, you teach acting. I mean, that's really you make all your choices are real. And that's the thing about it. Like, Rich just said, they're telling real stories. I mean, they're real stories about vampires and supernatural things that don't exist. But as an actor, you do have to bring reality to it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's, I'm telling students over here all the time is like, we want to be actors, but audience is only going to care if they feel that it's part of you, that you're giving up something of yourself in order to fight for that character's point of view.
Right.
And that's not about being method. It's not about sacrificing. It's just, I think that is what will reach out through that TV screen and grab an audience is the heart, the universal wants and needs. And
exactly.
Yeah.
Because you don't play bad. You know what I mean? Like the temptation for a lesser performer is I do evil things, so I'm playing evil. But evil isn't a character choice. Like that's not a three-dimensional choice.
Right. So Dixon, also there's a lot of physical stuff that is going on. You fight with Dean and get a beat down, and then you in turn give Gordon a beat down.
Yeah, but he knocks Jensen pretty good at the top.
That's true.
Like,
they both get the punches in. Yeah,
you ring his bell pretty good against that brick wall.
You throw him into the wall.
Yeah.
What was that process like? Do you remember that? I mean, did you choreograph it with Lou Bela, who was our fight coordinator?
Yeah, I mean, I vaguely remember it. What I loved was that they really welcomed me being part of that, which was, as you know, is not the case on a lot of TV sets. They won't even take a chance on seeing where the actor might possibly be a liability. And so I don't know, it made me feel that much more part of this world and this sort of production in a way that
it was collaborative.
Yeah. And it's those little things that for a guest star, I think they make a difference, because you're not a regular, you're not a recurring, and you're just trying to feel like you can make your mark, or you can sort of fit in, but also like leave a good mark on this particular episode, and that those little tiny things I think make such a big difference to an actor, because we as actors are so sensitive to that environment of a set. And when that set is so welcoming and so trusting, that's where we work best.
Mm-hmm. Right. They're notoriously good at doing that. The supernatural set. Jared and Jensen as individuals and the set as a whole. Rob and I we're products of that too. So what was your experience first meeting Jared and Jensen?
Oh, well, I mean, we had a lot of fun. I'll never forget, there's that, I guess it's my last scene where I'm remorseful, and they are just, both of them at different times are just off camera totally mugging and making my life a living hell as I'm trying to get through this like crazy over the top, like, and I'm like, what are you doing? But they were having so much fun. And by that point, we had built as much of a friendship as you can, or a connection as you can over like a week's time. But they were just so generous. And I remember bumping into Jared about a month later at, what's the hotel right there on Hollywood, right next to Jimmy Kimmel?
Roosevelt?
The Roosevelt. Yeah. I was in there for drinks and we bumped into each other. And, we sat down, we had a drink together, and he's just such a solid guy. And they see so many people that come through that show. Sometimes you think, why the hell would you remember me? And I was just there for 8 days or whatever it was. But I think that really tells a lot, the integrity of the people that are running the show. And when you're 1 and 2 are that strong and that sort of grounded as people, it's the mark of a good company and a lasting show, which this obviously was.
Yeah, no, and I think it's one of the reasons too. We say that a lot. I mean, those guys are a big reason for why it, maybe the reason why it lasted 15 seasons.
Yeah, because you don't have the bickering, squabbling of narcissistic guys. You have like two young men who were raised well, who ended up number 1 and number 2 on a show, who bring their character to the set every day, not the acting character, but their humanity, their human character, and it shows. I say this all the time, I'll say it again. And I acted on the show starting in season 2, and I directed the 3rd to last episode ever. So I was around for a long time. And I never saw them walk into a set where they didn't first thing introduce themselves to a guest star.
Yeah.
They'd go past the regular guys to the new face, always say, hey, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
15 years running. And that's the difference, right? Because then now you're going to get the best performance out of that person who might have one line.
And if they really liked you, and respected you as a good actor, they'd fart during your take. I mean, that really...
Yeah, they clearly liked you a lot, because sabotage is their sign of endearment.
I always told myself that, at least.
Out of curiosity, you mentioned having kids. How old are your kids?
One is 11 and one is 7.
So weird question, but being there because Robbie and I have kids. My youngest is 11. Will your kids, after 2 years of England, will they have English accents? Will that affect their way of speaking?
It's affecting their vocabulary.
In a positive way, I would imagine.
Well, no, it's just different. I would say it's different. I think over here they use the word quite a lot. Mm-hmm. So, oh yeah, that was quite nice. And I had quite a good time. And and so my kids have started adopting that, but they still do it with a relatively American accent. But
that was lovely.
Yeah. I find myself saying lovely and well done instead of good job.
Yes,
right.
My girlfriend's from the UK, and I'm. It's hard not to adopt those things.
Oh God, yeah, it's so proper.
Yeah.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from North Carolina.
I was gonna say, 'cause I hear Southern in you. So where in North Carolina are you from?
Chapel Hill. How about you?
Nashville.
Yeah.
So Chapel Hill. Did you? But you didn't go to you weren't tempted to go to UNC?
No, when you grow up there, I would say for the most part, the first thing you want to do when you have a chance is get the hell out.
Well, that's people ask about Vanderbilt a lot because that's down the street from my high school. I'm like, the last place I wanted to go to college was down the street from my high school.
But Chapel Hill has a good theater department.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's a great place to be from. So it's a wonderful place to go back and visit and see family. But
right, Is your wife Southern as well?
No, she was born and raised in New York City.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man. I tell you, it's such a treat to have you. You're a fascinating guy to talk to. I love the fact that you're starting a drama school. That's amazing. We could do a whole podcast episode on that. And I love your work. Is just great, man. It's just really good. This is an easy interview when somebody brings that much talent to the table.
Yeah.
In one episode of TV, it's really, really impressive.
And we never see Dixon die. So there's a world where Dixon's still out there.
Maybe it's season 17.
Well, yeah. I mean, they kept they kept referencing him or something because God knows SAG kept letting me know.
Good.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. I know it's a big time change for you, and I don't know what you had going on, but thank you for pausing your life and coming and talking to us. We appreciate it, and our viewership, our listeners are going to love it. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Thank you for thinking of me, and it's been a treat.
Good.
Likewise. And we'll let
Thanks,
you know when
Matthew.
this comes out.
Good luck with your teaching.
Be well.
This is Jared Padalecki stopping in to say hi and let you know that we've got to take a quick break. Thanks for listening. Now, back to the episode.
What a great guy, Matthew Humphreys. I had never met him before. So intelligent, well-spoken. I can see him being a professor. I want to take his class.
Dude,
it's a
what
pleasure.
a charming man.
Yeah.
He's so good in the episode.
Yeah.
And then, well, that's obvious because we've all seen the episode and talked about it. But then what a charming, interesting life he's led since then, and what an interesting guy to have on the podcast. What a great recollection he has of the experience of even developing the character. Is really cool.
Yeah. And a friend of Emily Swallow and Sebastian Roche is a friend of mine.
Indeed. Mine as well. Thank you, Matthew, for doing this show. And I'm telling you, I feel like we should just bring him back on someday to talk about how to teach actors acting. Because,
exactly.
I mean, he seems like, I bet you he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Being a Yale graduate.
Yeah.
A boy from North Carolina went on to become a Yale graduate and a teacher in England.
Yeah.
Well, that right there, in my book, that's a success story.
Yeah. There you go.
That's awesome.
You've heard it here. Richard Spade Jr. has spoken.
I have spoken.
And now it's time for mythology. Okay, we've covered vampires before.
Yeah, we've done the vampire thing, man.
Yeah. However, we do want to point out that mojo bags come from hoodoo.
End of sentence.
Hoodoo. You do?
Hoodoo. Wait, hoodoo? There's a lot of low-hanging fruit here. I'm not going to grab any of this off the tree. I do not need a bad mojo bag joke bringing me down. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we talked about it in our review. There are some things about supernatural vampires that might be a little different. We're not sure, but apparently supernatural vampires can see themselves in mirrors and may or may not have the ability to see like the villain in Silence of the Lambs.
Like the night vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like the night vision goggles.
And they're really, really strong, too, because they can rip the heads off people, which we found out in
so
this episode.
strong. Yeah. Oh, man. Lots of heads coming up.
I'll tell you what, though. That's Sam Winchester. He's no vampire. That's not easy to decapitate a dude with a wire by just cross-pulling him.
And he
like my left shoulder, I'd never be able to do that.
No, I'd cut my fingers on the wire.
Well, he had a leather cloth, or he was holding it with a cloth of some kind.
He did? He was?
Yeah, I noticed that when he dropped it, he had something that he had used to grab the wire.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Otherwise, his hand would be sliced up too.
He decapitated that head right off the body.
He lacerated that cut. Now it's time for fun facts. Fun facts.
Fresh Blood is the title of an Alice Cooper song from the album Dada.
It was a follow-up to his album Mama.
And right before the album Caca. No?
What?
Caca. It's poopy.
Poop. All right. Originally, Gordon's decapitation scene was even more gruesome. Ivan Hayden and the VFX team had the real head rock while it was on the floor, but standards and practices thought that the detail made it too gruesome. I will say, I watched that scene twice because I thought it was so well done, and I'm like, holy bleep. I can't believe they got away with putting this on network TV. Even as it was incredibly gruesome. Him pulling that thing and the blood spurting out of Gordon's neck and mouth while he's pulling razor wire across his neck.
Yeah.
And then he looks down and sees the head, which was, Sterling K. Brown's head. It was unbelievably gruesome, the episode.
Yeah. I actually watched it twice as well. Yeah, it was. A lot of cut off heads and...
They just got away with, the violence, there's always violence supernatural. That was next level. It was incredibly well done. Certainly on a character that we'd come to know and be attached to, Gordon.
Yeah.
But man, it was just gruesome. I can't, it's funny to me that what Bug Standards practices was the head slightly rocking. They weren't bothered by the razor wire slicing into the man's thorax to rip his head from his spine.
Or the two women that were hanging that were completely decapitated.
And there was a shot over the grizzled skin.
Yeah.
You know, the camera was like, oh, here's in the foreground, here's chunks of meat and flesh.
Yeah.
As we shoot across to Dean. So well done, but so
maybe standards and practices were like taking a bite out of their sandwich and missed that shot. I don't know.
Yeah, must have.
Guest star Mercedes McNabb also played the vampire Harmony in Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
Composer Christopher Lennertz thought that people associated vampires with violins because of the Eastern European roots and use in classic vampire movies. So he leaned heavily on violins for the score of this episode.
Oh, wow. That's the kind of thing that you never, so much thought put into that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
After the fight with Gordon, there's a sign behind Dean that says 183 days. This may be a reference to how many days he has left to live.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
I like the fact that it may be. It also may not be. Ooh.
Yeah.
Either or. Well, this is just an amazing episode of television, man. I mean, holy smokes. Great from stem to stern. Just a feature film crammed into 42 minutes of supernatural television. Well done, everybody involved.
And, again, it's leaving us on kind of a cliffhanger of like, we still think Dean's going to die. Dean's like, I may not be around for long, so I need to teach you how to fix the car.
Yeah, that's really sweet.
Yeah,
that was really sweet.
That's still hanging over there. This is not over, guys.
No, man. But that was a great. I know it's ominous, but also a really sweet way to show their bond and their connection and their
great episode, great podcast, good stuff all around.
Yeah, man. Home run.
This episode of Supernatural features Jared Padalecki as Sam Winchester and Jensen Ackles as Dean Winchester.
Guest stars include Sterling K. Brown, man. He's so good. Lauren Cohan, Michael Massey, Mercedes McNabb, and Matthew Humphreys, who also crushed it.
Yeah. Fresh Blood was written by Sarah Gamble and directed by Kim Manners.
Let's just pause 1 second because we never really talked about who wrote and directed this episode. Yeah. Of course it's written by Sarah Gamble, and of course it's directed by Kim Manners. I mean, here we are talking about it being a feature. Well, duh.
Yeah.
Look at the architects of this bad boy. It's just the best of the best coming out to make a great episode.
Yeah.
Editing by Anthony Pinker. Music by Christopher Lennertz.
And executive produced by Eric Kripke and Robert Singer.
The original broadcast of this episode featured the song Crazy Circles by Bad Company.
And the episode originally aired on November 15th, 2007.
Interesting piece of trivia. That's 1 week exactly to the day from the airing of the previous episode.
That's right. And also 7 days.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. They decapitated their head right off.
Right off.
Hey, I know we're about to wrap up the whole thing, but I got to say, we had a list of songs here, one song. It made me think we didn't have a lot of source music in the previous 2 episodes.
No, there hasn't been a lot of music cues.
Not a lot of rock tracks, a lot of score, a lot of beautiful score, well-written score, but not a lot of rock tracks.
It's nice to be back.
Yeah. Nice to be back, rock and roll.
This episode of Supernatural Then and Now was hosted and executive produced by Richard Speight Jr. and Rob Benedict.
Produced by Stephen Hine, written by Stephen Hine and Haida Holscher.
And edited and associate produced by Trey Booty. Music provided by Tim Wynn.
This episode was recorded with the help of Sonic Fuel Studios.
This podcast is from Story Mill Media.
Follow the podcast on Instagram and on the Twitter at SPN Then and Now.
And become a member of the podcast at patreon.com/SPN Then and Now.
You know you want to. Do it.
Season 26.
What? That's not even it's not even, there's no 3 in it.
It's not 2 or 6. Steve, our favorite producer, Steve Hine, has a typo here on our notes where it says this is season 26, episode 7.
It's not even close. But I guess if you wait a minute. No. 6 divided by 2 is 3. That's pretty easy.
That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
It was a math equation. Well,
Story Mill Media.
Early contests build momentum for 2024 contenders seeking the White House. C-SPAN offers unfiltered coverage of events leading into early primaries and caucuses. Get access to speeches and results with the free app, C-SPAN Now, or watch live on the C-SPAN networks.